another, uric acid stones versus calcium stones. You can differentiate renal masses, you can differentiate and evaluate Gouty tophi very well, and you can remove metal artifacts which the patient has to get better reconstructions of the fractured bones or infection in bones which are infected or have tumors. Hybrid CT scanners are available now. You must have heard about PET CT, which will give you complete information that CT gives, plus it will allow you to look at metabolically active foci in the body, which can be of the cancer or infections. So, really to conclude, CT and MRI have revolutionized the way we image all the organs in the body. CT has advantages over other imaging modalities in the form of high spatial resolution, much faster scanning, high sensitivity in diagnosing hemorrhages. It has high accuracy in delineating bony details. By doing different kinds of reconstructions, we give good roadmap to the surgeons for surgery. So surgeon knows what he expects on the operating table. Also in the post-operative situation, CT is useful to assess the graft and implant evaluation. Virtual imaging like virtual colonoscopy or bronchoscopy is possible today. And CT and MR both are moving from just anatomical imaging to molecular and functional imaging, which will allow us to understand various diseases very well. This was my last slide, and I thank you for your attention.
For taking us in a virtual guided of medical imaging. Thank you, sir. I request Dr. Hemant Wankhede, Dr. Kailash Godke to felicitate Dr. Bhatkar. Thank you, Dr. Godke. Friends, this lecture was sponsored by Akshar Diagnostic, and we have here Mr. Dr. Girish Yavankar from Akshar Diagnostic. I call him upon on the dais to accept our felicitation. I request the Bhatkar to felicitate Dr. Girish Yavankar. Friends, we have an esteemed guest among us. He is Mr. B.P. Rai from Bhiwandi. He is the administrator of Dr. Om Prakash Agarwal School from Bhiwandi. I call him up on the dais to accept our felicitation, and I request Dr. Shashank Pawar, TDMBA President, to felicitate Mr. B.P. Rai. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. And here again, the lucky draw. And who else but Dr. Sushi Sharma?
थैंक यू स्नेहल। हाँ दोस्तों, लेडीज से बहुत संभाल के रहना पड़ेगा। मोदी साहब को भी किरण बेदी को बुलाना पड़ा दिल्ली में, और अब लेडीज का प्राइज आ रहा है। जस्ट चेक, डॉक्टर पूनम पवार, शी गेट्स बैडमिंटन सिंगल्स एज ए विनर एंड टेनिस सिंगल्स विनर, डॉक्टर पूनम पवार। डॉक्टर प्रज्ञा गवाने, बैडमिंटन डबल विनर, डॉक्टर प्रज्ञा। कैरम डबल्स विनर, बैडमिंटन सिंगल्स रनर अप एंड टेबल टेनिस सिंगल्स रनर अप। कौन बोलता है खाली घर का काम करते हैं लोग यार? दे प्ले ऑल्सो, दे विन ऑल्सो। वंडरफुल, गिव देम। हकदार है, जोरदार करतल ध्वनि के हकदार हैं। Okay, and Dr. Dipti Bhoite, yeah, she is winner of badminton doubles, carom singles runner-up and carom doubles runner-up. Dr. Dipti Bhoite. Very good. Good, Dipti. All over to Matka King. Dr. Asif Pochi, क्या है आपके पास टुडे?
अब है पल्स ऑक्सीमीटर।
अरे क्या बात है, धड़कन
पल्स ऑक्सीमीटर देखिए कौन जीतता है। एंड द विनर, सर प्लीज। डॉक्टर MP शाह।
डॉक्टर MP शाह, क्या बात है।
Boss, this is not cheating because अब जो कमेटी मेंबर्स है उसका इसमें ड्रॉ में कोई पार्टिसिपेशन नहीं है।
फ्रेंड्स, किसी कमेटी मेंबर का इसमें कूपन नहीं है, एब्सोल्युटली नो।
I think he is not here.
एक और नसीब लोगों की राह नहीं देखता।
डॉक्टर चंद्रकांत साली।
डॉक्टर चंद्रकांत साली, अरे अभी तो
साली साहब,
आइए सर।
एक्चुअली वो कूपन वाला जो था वो हमने वापस से इसको इंस्टॉल वापस डाला है।
ओके ओके।
Koopan is extra and this gift is extra. So this is the luckiest person in this hall.
इज अ ब्रांडेड।
Please give her a big applause.
वो हमारे कलवा वाले हैं।
Yes, yes. Still to come, lots of pulse oximeters.
So, over to Dr. Snell, but let me announce one thing, there are bigger prizes after this, post lunch, bigger prizes, so everyone be here after lunch.
I would make a little news over here that in Melbourne, India has set a target of 268 runs before Australia. Rohit Sharma has made a century with 138 runs, and Mitchell Starc from Australia has taken 6 wickets in his 10 overs. Just a tidbit of information. And now friends, we move on to our last lecture before lunch break. It is by Dr. Pradnya Shenoy, who will be speaking on behavioral problems in children. I call upon Dr. Chetan Sakpal, Dr. Niyaz Sheikh and Dr. Mrs. Tarandum Pochi on the dais, and Dr. Pradnya Sharan will give a speech.
Dr. Pradnya Shenoy, she is a consultant, psychiatrist and counselor. DPM from LTMC Sion Hospital, practicing since 12 years and now practicing in Mulund. Don't wasting your time, I'll hand over mic to ma'am.
I'm happy to see a lots of you before lunch. This is the hardest time to sit for 20 minutes more. I'll be short and crisp. Okay, when we talk about behavioral problems in children, the first question that comes to our mind is how do we define that the child has a behavioral problem? Because most of the parents today have issues that मेरा बच्चा ऐसा नहीं करता वैसा नहीं करता, तो इसको हम लोग साइकेट्रिस्ट को दिखाए, काउंसलर को दिखाए कि नहीं. So as general practitioners, as family physicians, the first question that would arise in your mind would be, does this child need to seek professional help for his behavioral problems? The rule of thumb which I have is when a parent walks in the clinic with the child to me, that means there's a problem. So who has the problem, whether the parent has the problem or the child has the problem? It's for me to decide, and that's how I'll be talking about how do we decide that what are the problems in children, and many times there would be problems in parents because they are unable to handle the normative behaviors of children. Most of the presenting features in children are hyperactivity, inattention, impulsivity, aggression, suicide, and chronic somatic symptoms. Most of you are aware of the first three, that is the triad for a very commonly known disorder, that is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. The other three which you are reading now are the aggression, suicide, which are more severe form of the symptoms. And the last one, though it doesn't come under behavioral problems, I have put it down over here because they are very important for general physicians to know that you would be having lots of children who have chronic symptoms like pain in abdomen, headache, and which leads to school refusal, and you do lots of investigations and no investigations show any positive diagnosis with the child, and then you are like, what does this child have? He has been complaining of these problems since 1 year, 2 years, has not been going to school, and still he has some problems. So what are these? So we usually divide the problems into externalizing symptoms that you can see in a child and internalizing symptoms that the child will have within but he will not show behaviorally. And those are as important as the externalizing symptoms. But since I have only 20 minutes to speak, I won't be covering the internalizing symptoms, which are though very important for you to keep in mind. Let us look at the triad of hyperactivity, inattention and impulsivity. This is, as you know, commonly is known as ADHD, that is Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. Most of the parents feel that their children are hyperactive. So how do we decide that whether this child falls in the category of ADHD? Usually in psychiatric diagnosis, what we look is at the intensity of the symptoms, the frequency of the symptoms and the duration of the symptoms, and how long the symptoms have been impairing the child's function. So basically the child's functioning in his academic issues as well as in his social behaviors. So if the child is falling behind because of these symptoms academically and is unable to develop any social relationships either with his parents, siblings or his peers, then we say yes, if there is significant impairment, then the child does need help. Now when we look at hyperactivity, the common complaints are the child is very restless, cannot sit in one place, keeps on squirming in the seat, will do something or the other with his fingers, hands, keep tapping on the table, use a pencil, wherever he goes he keeps on touching things. These are the symptoms or what you see in a hyperactive child. In an inattentive child, the symptoms are not so obvious because many times what you see is a hyperactive child is the one who is observed and who is brought to the doctor, but an inattentive child without hyperactivity is not brought to the doctor because he doesn't have any obvious outside symptoms. What he has is getting spaced out. He just looks as if he's lost. He looks as if he's confused. There is lack of concentration. He cannot complete a task. He's disorganized. He's clumsy. And these are the children who are usually missed by most of the parents as well as the teachers and as well as the doctors. The last, which is impulsivity, where you find the child is extremely impulsive. He cannot wait for his turn. He will barge into conversations. You start a question and in the middle of the question, he will answer without knowing what you are going to ask ahead. And these are the children who are usually complained about in the classroom by the class teachers. This triad makes the disorder of ADHD, and hyperactivity, if it is predominant, these children will land up with you commonly, but if inattention is predominant, then many times the child will land up when he is in the secondary school because inattention will cause problems in his cognitive functioning, that is in his academic functioning. Aggression, this is a very important aspect which we need to see in today's generation because you keep on reading news about aggressive behaviors by children and adolescents in the school. Definitely when you see a child being excessively aggressive, that is if he is hitting someone very frequently, he is sent to a psychiatrist.